What's up, guys? Today we're going to be making a nice little table for behind your couch, or a sofa table, if you will. So it'll pin up right behind the couch. And materials here, I kind of already got them cut, but just using some of the leftover redwood that I had from when I made that sit stand desk. And then went on Amazon and got some extension outlets here. Comes with two plugs and two USBs, like a 6-foot cable, which is perfect. So I'm going to have 2 of these mounted. We'll cut some holes, put it in between there. Otherwise, this is going to be a pretty simple build here. Just going to glue these onto the corners, bracket there to help hold it, and then support piece of wood for in the middle so that it doesn't bow. So let's just get right into it. I got these cut already, so first thing that we're going to do is just get them glued and try to get them attached here. And the glue is only going to be used just so that it sucks that seam together. Instead of just the bracket, there might still be some give and still get a gap in there, which I don't want to have seam. So the glue is just going to help that, but yeah, jump right into it. There. So with that in there, now I can get the bracket on there to hold it in place. And the nice thing about this is, since this is going to be up against the wall, you're not going to see this because all you're going to see is the outside frame, because you're going to have couch here and wall where the table is. So this does not need to be perfect on the inside here by any means. So these screws are 1/2 inch so that doesn't go through the wood all the way. There we go. Table. Again, this is going to be pinned up between, you'll have your couch and a wall back here. So brackets, stuff like that, you're not going to be able to see. And then we'll take the rotor here and drill out some holes and at least sit so they'll be nice and flush, low profile, which I think will be perfect. Otherwise, last thing is getting this one in here just for support in the middle so that you don't have exactly this problem. So I'm going to line this up, and what I'm using here is just a sink screw. So the head of this is going to go all the way through the wood, and then I'll show you a trick on how you can cover up that head and make it look nice. Next thing we're going to do is probably just I'm going to take a rotor. We'll route these edges because I don't want the edges here to scrape on the couch or do anything on the leather. So we'll round the edges on that, and then we'll be able to cut the holes for the outlet. Alright, so we measured it out. We know that we got 33 inches. It was around 32.5, but aesthetically it looked like 33 kind of fit right in between the cushions. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mark right at 33 here. Okay, so we got our marks at 33 there. Next thing that we do want to do is, this is just the center point, so we've got to find our entire length of what we're going to cut here. So really what we're going to be measuring is from this point here to here, these edges. I already did that. I know it's 3 7/8. So to get the half of that, you're gonna have 1.5 on each side. Then you gotta convert that 7/8, and we're just gonna convert that into 64ths. So we'd have 14 64ths. Half of that is gonna be 7 16ths. So you're gonna have 1.5 on each side plus 7 16ths. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get those marked out. So now that those are marked out, the next thing that I like doing is double checking that. So if I take this, go right to 40, you should see that that'll come out to 43 7/8. So we measured it right, we split it right, which is good because you never know if I do math right. So next thing that we need to measure out then is just how wide that we're gonna be measuring it. Measured this out, this is 1 3/4, and we know that the width of this wood is 3.5. So when we do some math, and let me tell you, I had to stop and actually write it down on paper, we know we're gonna have about 7/8 on each side to place this perfectly in the middle. So we're gonna go ahead and measure out 7/8 on each. So now that we got our lines, we can go get the square, and we'll draw out a nice square on all of these. Got the square, we can go ahead and start drawing some of these lines. So I'm gonna place this square down. This is our outside edge. Now it's not gonna go all the way out to here, but like I said, sanding that down that'll get rid of that line. Now, this line here, it is not perfectly centered because it was never measured out that way. This line was only to get us to the center, so it should only be centered from these two lines, not these two. So it took me a second to look at that and go, oh crap, I screwed up, but I didn't. So now what we're looking at right here, that piece is gone. We're gonna cut that out, and then this should be able to go right in there. So this piece and this piece should be very close to the same. So we're gonna grab the drill bit, we're gonna drill corners here, and then we'll just take a jigsaw and go through here. Yep, we'll be right back. How do you not have your battery charged? Ridiculous. So we got our 4 holes, now we can take the jig, and we're just gonna cut the lines now. Should be pretty easy. There we go. That's in there. So then we'll drill a couple pilot holes, and this will fit in there perfectly. But it has a really nice low bezel there, so it'll match in really close. And then once this gets stained, this should match pretty close in there, where it's just not going to be this noticeable different color thing there. So do that to the other side, and then we'll do some staining. All right. So before we stain this, the little trick to cover that hole is the sawdust from when we were making the cuts, and a little bit of glue. We're just gonna putty some sawdust and glue together, fill that hole, and we can sand it smooth, and that's gonna match the wood very nicely, and we're gonna hide that little hole pretty well. So let's do that. All right, so we'll be able to let that dry, and then we can sand that down, and then it's ready to stain. So we'll pop these out, we'll take it outside and put down a coat of stain. Well, I think we got it pretty stained. Again, you're not going to see a lot of this, right? I mean, you're really only going to see the very top of this and then the outside edges here, because this is going to be up against the house, this is going to be up against the wall, and then of course we're going to have our things filled in. You won't be able to see this piece at all. So really all we had to worry about staining here was just the top, and it was just enough to darken it down a little bit and really make the grain pop here. So I think it looks really good. We're going to let this dry, and then we're good to put it in. The last thing to do is put these in there. So we're going to put them with the USBs out to the edges and just push them in. And with how well they snap in there, I actually don't think I'm even going to screw them down. We can see, you know, it's really in there. It doesn't move at all. And the screws that I had were silver, so if I need to put some in there, I'll go find some brown screws or something to kind of match here. So. Well, I guess the USBs are gonna have to go. I want the grounds to line up. I didn't realize that I was doing it with the USBs out, but I don't like how these are flipped, so I think I'll just flip this one around so that the plugs all line up. Cool. Last thing that I think I'm gonna do is I found this little bracket. And I'm gonna put that on the edge here so I can hang my headphones on this thing off on the edge, so that decluttering, right? So let's go pop this on there and take it up. As you can see, I was just making this build down in my basement, trying to pass the winter days here. So if you guys had any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I will definitely answer them. I'm also working on a website where I'll be able to put some details on each of my builds that I do in the future here, so stay tuned for that. Should be helpful, where you can hop over to there and see all the materials I used and the methods that I used to do some of these builds. But otherwise, thanks for watching, guys, appreciate it, and see you next time.